Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Timberborn with me, Alpha Omega and Soggy Logs. So it is day 4 of the 12th cycle and I have to say I'm really happy because we are getting a drought. The game really didn't give us much of a wet season to speak of, but since we're recovering from the badtides still, this is going to be a blessing. You can see that so much of our fields have died during the badtide, and there really isn't much that I can do to battle it. So we just have to take it, and a drought is going to clear all of this away. We've already cleared out most of the dead trees though, so at least that is done. There's still a couple of them here that needs to be removed, but still, it led to a struggle with logs that we will feel for quite some time. That really is the problem with badtides. They really aren't functionally the same as droughts, but the fact that they kill your crops and kill your trees in many cases is just pure evil, and it makes everything so much slower and difficult, and I do not like it. For this episode though, we still have the same plan as before. First of all, we need to carve a little bit of extra space for ourselves over here, and the drought is actually going to help with that because it will allow us to properly finish everything, and the remaining bad water that is in there is going to dry out, which is great. Once we have that done, we are going to move to finish another level of the reservoir because we, of course, want to have as much water there as possible. And after that, we are going to start thinking what we can do with this island and how we will connect it to the second source of water that we have here. I think that if we manage to be a little bit smart about it, this island could really be beneficial to us because it's going to provide us with clean water, more space for planting, or well, we'll see. We'll see. There might be a lot of stuff that we can do with that. So anyway, right now we're just going to continue with our preparations, and I'll be back when the drought hits us, most likely, or when something interesting happens. Day 7 of the 12th cycle, and the drought has just started. I was actually really lucky with the way we stored water in this moment because you can see that we have everything filled out to the very brink. The river is also completely full, and well, I mean the low reservoir was also full, but it's pumping out water, so it's going down relatively quickly. There never is water more than a day or two because the pumps just take it all out. But I'm feeling really good. We have 1.9 thousand units of water and we're going to be pumping out more. We have a decent amount of food, 518 carrots, and we're going to get a lot of wood hopefully during this dry season. You can see that we're also replanting the crops already because the drought has cleared them out, so all is good. On the downside, the drought is going to be 18 days long, which is officially, I think, our longest dry season. So we'll see how our setup will survive this stress test. But as I said, we have everything that we want. We have everything that we want and that we need, and this amount of water should be more than enough for us to actually survive through the drought without any issues. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to continue with I keep calling it lower part, but this extra land that we are trying to carve for ourselves. I wasn't able to finish it in time, but right now as the drought is going to be continuing, we will finish this level and then we're gonna plan the buildings, which is gonna be a little bit tricky, but I have an idea how I want to do it. And once that is done, we're just gonna expand on the reservoir. I just want to mention one thing that is a little bit unpleasant. We had a lot of beavers die due to old age, so we are down to 39 adults. We have 4 children and 3 beavers are contaminated, so really not a whole lot of work to go around, so everything is a little bit slow, but I believe it will be okay, enough food and enough water is the basis for every operation, and that means we are going to be safe and hydrated during this drought. As a side note, there was a comment not a whole long or not a long time ago about this area always being green and hinting that there might be a source of underground water. Well, I tried to look at it and there doesn't seem to be anything down there. I really think it's just how the bad water works, because you get, believe it or not, hydration from bad water, but it also contaminates, and I'm not entirely sure how it works, because sometimes I saw it contaminate. You can see it here, it's contaminated. Sometimes it's not, and I'm not entirely sure what's going on. I have a feeling that the area here might not be fully contaminated. I think that because of the source of good water over here, this area is actually not fully contaminated, and that's why the land, yeah, you can see that there's some water remaining here. So I think that might be the reason why this area is green and not contaminated, but I'm not entirely sure how that works. The truth is that when you get water above the land, it pushes the hydration, or the irrigation to be more precise, further away. When you have water below the island, it shouldn't really spill in, but sometimes it does. You know that there is a very detailed mechanic that you can read about on how it works. You can Google it. There is diagrams and explanations on YouTube as well, but I never really, I watched it. I understand how it works, but I never really memorized the math so that I could remember it now and speak about it, because it never really came to play. Like, you can experiment with this and you will always see the effects during the first bad tide, so there isn't much that you can do to change it unless you heavily expand into the bad water, and not many maps have this much bad water, so it doesn't always come to play. Anyway, as I said, we are gonna have a good time this time around, so I'll just trudge through the drought and I'll be back when something interesting is there to report. Day 16 of the 12th cycle. We are almost let's go with halfway through the drought, just so we don't complicate stuff, and we are doing great. We still have 1.2 thousand units of water, and we have a huge amount of food in storage, so in short, everything is amazing. I also have big news. We have finalized this area, and if I'm gonna show you what it's gonna look like in the end, I hope that you are happy with it. There is a lot of intricate planning here, so let me just show you. There will be a large warehouse down here to store carrots. We are building a couple of houses on top of it, including a small mini lodge up here, and I wanted to put in a campfire and rooftop terrace to provide a little bit more relaxation to our beavers. I've also included a contemplation spot here, which will provide more happiness, and we have lantern here and here. We also moved a bunch of these small piles so that they are located down here. I don't think we can, yeah, you see them behind there, they're connected to the path that's going down here. The stairs will be reading like this. Well, I think it's an ingenious expansion into the bad water, so hopefully it's gonna dry out and we will soon see our beavers use it. Now, apart from that, I have actually prepared a space over here to move the farms. We are going to relocate them from this area and this area into here, which is going to give us a vast amount of extra tiles to farm on. And I think that is going to be beneficial, because if our population is going to grow a little bit more, it is going to be important for us to have as much space as possible for farming. So, massive expansion on all accounts. massive expansion on all accounts, and I'm really, really, really happy with it. And an obligatory look around the map, you can see that more and more land is looking right at us from the water because the sea level, or the bad sea level, is going down. Interesting, interesting, interesting. I think I already mentioned once that I'm interested if you get hit by a couple of droughts in short sequence and they're really long, it might actually lead to a permanent lowering of the sea level for us because the water will just never refill it. This is true especially if we manage to, for example, plug in one of these bad water sources and later on, of course, the other ones that are around the map, because it would mean that less of bad water is going to be coming on the map, and extensive droughts are gonna mean more and more water evaporating and less of it coming in. So there has to be a balance at which point the map will never fail again. But we'll just see. We shall see. Day 24 of the 12th cycle and the drought is ending. And I'm feeling really good about everything. Let me just set everything here so that it works and we get the water moving, because it's just gonna start pouring in immediately. Well, we still have a ton of water there, so let's put it to the obligatory. So whatever's happened, well, we have completely finished this area and it's looking really nice. It has a really, I don't know, piratey vibe sort of. It's like a extension that you can see in some of these pirate cities. I really like it, and the beavers already moved in. I have actually removed some of the buildings that we had here because we got, oh come on, don't flood. You don't want to flood. Equalize. It's gonna fix itself. Anyway, we moved some of the housing that we have over here, or we had over here, and we're planting sunflowers instead. And we've also moved the farms, and we're planting sunflowers instead of that. So we now have a little bit more planting ground, which is amazing for everyone. And beavers are actually enjoying it. So that is really, 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 really nice. I'm also really happy with the fact that we now have our first large warehouse which can store 1200 carrots. It might seem like there's a lot, but we're actually nowhere near our full capacity, which is now 1800 carrots. So that's great. I also started putting these contemplation spots around so that we have more of them, because they are now fully working. So you can see that this one is being built, and I put a couple of others around. Can't really remember right now where I put them, but you will see them around the map. It's pretty good. I'm also considering moving this medium tank elsewhere because again, it would free up a couple of spots over here for sunflower farming. I'm thinking of moving it over the dam or the lower reservoir, whatever you want to call it. It would either be a medium one or a large one, depending on what we will decide. We just gotta have to see. But yeah, now next is the improvement of the main reservoir, and then we're gonna start looking at the island. And yeah, here you can see it's no longer hydrated because the bad water moved significantly below, and here you have the good water flowing into the bad sea. So things are actually looking nice. I'm really happy. Like, so far I've been playing and all of the news are really good. So let's just hope if we won't get hit by a bad tide next, because that would be an issue. Day 3 of the 13th cycle, and of course we have been immediately hit by the next bad event. 3 days are really not a lot of time. I mean, 6-day wet seasons minimum, not good. We don't have enough time to recover our water, and we do not really have much time to enjoy the beauty of the green island. Not great. Not great. But what can we do? It is the game, and at least it's drought again, which I'm kind of okay with it. I'm hoping it's not going to be a very long one. We, might run into a little bit of problems. The 18-day one was a little bit too close for comfort, and because we are not doing all that well when it comes to the expansion of the upper level of the reservoir, I'm pretty sure we will not finish it in the next 2.6 days, so we will not have more water than we had before. We're gonna continue working on it though, we're gonna finish it up, and if it's something like 15 days, it would be ideal. If it is longer, well then we're just gonna weather the storm. There isn't much that we can do it, like what? That sentence didn't make sense. I was trying to say that there's not much else that we can do, because it is what it is. Well, anyway, once that is done, we are gonna continue moving towards this island. We have our plans, and we want to continue bridging all the way to over here, but the second source of good water is, so depending on the length of the drought, we might achieve it, we might not. We're gonna see. But the good news is that our tree plantation is growing like crazy. We have been actually doing good on wood. So, the construction is going fairly well. Yeah, I kinda enjoy it. So, hopefully, let's see if the game is going to be merciful. Day 6 of the 13th cycle, and well, the drought is 21 days, which I will admit makes me a little bit worried. 21 days is a lot. I believe that we had like 18 days before, and we consume a huge amount of resources. 21 days? We're really not. I don't feel we're ready. I really don't feel we're ready, and I'm really hoping that we will be. But looking at the amount of water that we have stored, we might actually have to take some drastic measures that I wouldn't before, like filling the low reservoir halfway through the drought to pump a little bit more water into the storage, because yeah, I really don't think we will have enough water to get through. We'll see. Maybe I'm too skeptical. We're still pumping in a lot of water. This low reservoir is filled. We just have to see. I mean, no reason to panic now, but yeah, it. I mean, I don't like badtides, but getting hit by constant droughts one after another this quickly without enough time to pump water, not good. Not fair, game. Like, don't do that. That might also spell doom for our colony. So, yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how it's gonna go. Anyway, I finished the platform over here to build another large tank, but honestly, we are nowhere near filling the ones that we have. So, what's the point? Like, I'm just gonna keep it there, and we'll build it when we actually ever fill our water to the 3060 units. But considering that our water reserves are diminishing, building more reservoirs, building more tanks is not gonna fix any of our issues. I wish, you could catch rainwater, for example, when it's raining, but that's not implemented, so not much that you can do. Apart from that, we're just continuing building up here, getting more done. You can see that we have 3 logs now in the storage, but we've constantly been building, and when these trees mature, and there's a lot of them, as you can see, that will mature soon, sooner or later anyway, we are going to be able to definitely finish it during the drought, and then we can just move on and start working on the expansion over here. We'll see how it's gonna go. Still wanna voice it. We started very strong at least in this episode, and I'm not really sure about this. We'll see. Day 11 of the 14th cycle. We still have 15 and a half days of drought ahead of us, but we're kind of aiming large, you know. We have a lot of food now, 915 carrots, a little bit of berries, even some sunflowers. We have 991 units of water, and our beavers are cutting down trees. We now have 297 logs in storage, so we're doing good. The reason why we have so many logs now is because, as you can see here, we have everything else filled. So there's no plank production, there's no gear production. No one is really producing anything because I believe that even like the gear place, yeah, it's full on planks and gears, and there's no more capacity to do anything. So it's kind of stuck, but that's good, you know, because we can use the planks, sorry, not planks, but the logs to finalize this construction, and then we can actually move over here. You will notice that we already have some construction going. We've expanded a little bit, and we're continuing doing that, which is really, really nice. However, what is dragging us down a little bit is the speed at which the beavers are building, because we have only 4 builders and it takes them a lot of time to actually get all the way up here. They have to climb all of these stairs, then run along the area and get to it. It really doesn't have, you know, it's not great. It just takes long. We would do well, or we would do way better if we could build the, what's it called, builder's hut? I think it's builder's hut. Yes, builder's hut that would employ more beavers as builders. So if we had more, it would make things easier. We could split the haulers between builders and haulers so that they cooperate a little bit better and you know, build everything faster, especially now that we have a decent amount of logs in storage. Well, we'll just continue. I mean, it's not much better here because you can see that that's also quite far away, so they have to take the logs over here and run all the way over here or all the way up there. Yeah, it's not great. We'll see. I'll try to figure out if we can build the builder's hut somewhere, if we have enough space for it or not. I guess it would be good. Anyway, I demolished the tank that we had here and we're now planting sunflowers there. We emptied the water from it into our other tanks, so the capacity now is a little bit lower, 2,760 units, but you know, we're nowhere near that, so I didn't really feel the need to build more tanks, and just, you know, decided overall that we're just gonna sit this one out. I'm monitoring the amount of water that we have though, and I kind of feel that my premonition that we will have to start pumping water halfway through the drought might be accurate, because I feel like we're using about 100 units of water, which would correspond with the amount of beavers every day. So we have water for about 9 to 10 days at this point, and that is nowhere near enough. So yeah, that's not good. That's not good. But I mean, at least we have wood. You know, beavers might die, but at least we have wood. You know, they're gonna die happy with wood among their teeth, I guess. Day 16 of the 13th cycle, and we have just run out of water in our main river. But that doesn't really worry me. What worries me is that, I mean, we have more and more carrots, but we have less and less water. We have about 496 units of water, so less than 500, and we still have over 10 days of drought to go, which is not good. So we definitely have to start pumping water soon. I'm gonna start running the water out into the system, but we'll open the floodgate over here and always try to get a little bit of water pumped as well, so that our beavers won't die of thirst. I'm really hoping that they won't, but yeah. According to my calculations, we're about 300 units of water short at this point. Can we make that? I'm not entirely sure. I am truly worried. The good news though is man, this recording, riveting commentary. Anyway, what's good is that we are almost done with the upper level of the reservoir once again. And we're also expanding over here. I designed how the construction is going to be looking, so while I'm prioritizing these areas for them to build, in the meantime they are also constructing down here. But as I mentioned before, the construction speed has slowed down to a crawl, so we really need to build beaver's hut. We need the builder's hut. I'll probably put it up here above the dandelions. We'll see if that's gonna work, but yeah, I think I could figure out some path here that would allow them to access it. It's gonna make everything much faster. 391 logs, as you can see, in the storage, so things are going well in that regard. You know, but if everybody dies out of first, all the logs in the world will not save us. Day 22 of the 13th cycle, and I am super happy that I can say that we finished the last, or I mean it's not last, but the next level of our reservoirs, so they will now retain more water. We have also massively expanded over here, and we are currently already working on the suspension bridge. This is mostly due to the fact that we now have a builder's hut, which has 4 more builders, so they're faster, they're more agile, they build, you know, quicker. Things are doing good. What's not doing good though, or what's not going good, is water. We have ran out once again out of water, and we have 108 or 105 units of water left. The reservoirs are also almost empty, and that's because I sent quite a lot of water to the pumps, and I do not retain the water in the river. This is kind of an emergency solution. We give the crops a little bit. Yeah, we'll have to send in the water soon. We give the crops a little bit of irrigation, but I let the water slowly flow into the low reservoir where it is pumped into drinkable water, because we have 1.2 thousand units of food, so we can really stave off hunger for quite some time, but we cannot really stave off thirst for much longer. And I believe that, the situation is very close to critical. Remember, after 2 days of thirst, your beavers will start dying. And that is still, half of what we have ahead of us. And I have to be real efficient with the rest of the water and make sure that we can pump it out, because otherwise we are going to have a lot of dead beavers lying around. Not a great prospect. Not a great prospect. Where's the wet season where you need one? Day 25 of the 13th cycle. We still have drought for one more day, and there is not a single drop of water left in our tanks or in our reservoirs. So as a last ditch effort to stop beavers from dying out of thirst, we are now pumping water directly from the river. Let's all pray that rain comes soon. The drought has just ended and the 14th cycle has started. We've pumped out all of the water from the river, and as you can see, every single beaver in our colony is thirsty. But because the water is coming now, and because it has been less than a day since they got thirsty, we will not see anyone die of thirst. But it was close. It was way too close, and that's with this massive reservoirs that we have built. And also this one. It's crazy. It is crazy. We literally have no water left. It's just insane. But again, we made it through. So all we can hope for now is that the wet season is going to be at least a week or longer, so that we can replenish the water in our tanks, because we're literally dry, and we started that 21 days with 1200 units of water, something like that. So we need at least that, and if the next bad tide or drought is going to be much longer, we will be that much worse off, because we will have less water to start with. It's really bad. So what about you guys? Are you, you're gonna let the water flow through very soon. So what's the lesson learned from this episode? Well, we made it through 2 droughts, and as much as I liked droughts before, I'm starting to have a little bit more respect for them because 30 days of drought is going to be absolutely insane. Now, one thing that I didn't mention is that we built another pump over here. So we now have, what, 2, 4, 7 pumps that are gonna work full time. We're gonna have 24-hour day today and tomorrow just to pump as much water as humanly possible so that every single beaver gets enough to drink, and we also start up refilling of the water tanks. But yeah, again, this is a little bit rough. Though we have done a lot, it's not all that bad. During this episode, we finished this extension, which allowed us to move some houses over there. We've also built farms here and here so that we have, more places to plant. We have really nice coverage right now. We demolished a tank again for more places to plant sunflowers, and we have built an extensive construction over here. We're like, yeah, 2 halves through building this entire area, which we can use, and we have, I mean, building this area, we're almost done with encircling this entire area so that we can use it as a water farming spot. And we reached the island over here that is going to be our next source of good water. Now what's gonna happen next is we have to figure out how we can build a zipline from our main colony to this area so that we can actually figure out what to do here. We'll need to build an irrigation tunnel from this good water source over here, which shouldn't be all that hard, but it's gonna be a little bit tricky to pull it off because it goes down and up, so there's gonna be a sort of a localized or boxed in river that we will have to use here so that it falls in here, but we can let it overflow as much as we want. There will never be any reason to modify it because we want this area to be fully filled with water for any kind of droughts. And I was thinking that we could also build a number of pumps here that could store water here, and we could then, the beavers, will they live here or will we have like a mini colony over here? I'm not entirely sure, but I kind of like the idea of having one big colony. So yeah, zipline every day in here to get more food and water and whatever we need. We can have the sap plantation here too. It's also a possibility. Well, I'll have to figure it out. It's a thing. It's a thing. But you guys, oh, I forgot to let the water out over here. That's a little bit of a mistake. Yes, you're letting the water through, but we need to let it through over here or we will flood the entire village. But yeah, again, good job on construction, not so much of a good job on the water storage, but that's not something that we can do better. It's that our wet seasons are so short. So fingers crossed that the next wet season is going to be as long as possible. I would, at least a week would be nice. Instead of 6 days, which is the minimum, or 80 days. A man can dream, right? That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool.